Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. Let's go ahead and get started with our guest today. Our first question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I'll try to be concise for sure. Not easy for a New Yorker like me with the gift of gab, which we spoke about earlier. But in terms of who I am, I'm the CEO and founder of Contango IT, an IT services company based in Midtown Manhattan, but we work globally. I'm also the co-founder and managing partner of GRC, a cybersecurity compliance company. Between my two companies, we have about more than 75 people now. Just very grateful that we've been able to thrive during these tough times, and just want to keep kicking butt, taking names.
That sounds great. Let's all do that together. I like that. Question number 2, what's the best thing about working with a team?
Well, when I started my company, I wanted to be an NBA basketball coach because I wanted to coach people, and it wasn't working out in that area, even though I was on CBS Sports and Newsday blogging and stuff like that when I was younger. But nowadays, my favorite part of working with teams is leading a team. Actually, I love maximizing strengths. I love minimizing weaknesses. I love getting the most out of my players. I absolutely feel like that's something that's a unique ability that I get to do, is motivate people and get them to grow. Our first core value is to stay in Contango. Contango is a client's expression. It means the future is higher than the present. That's what we strive for, constant improvement, yada, yada, yada. And with that said, we're just all about growing personally and growing professionally. So that's my favorite part about working with a team, is watching everyone do that with us together.
I really like that you focus on growth, both the company, but also the individual, because that's such a key driver to the company's success.
But when people are happy at home, when they're happy with themselves, they work harder and smarter, and they like what they're doing. So absolutely, we want them to be happy in all aspects. Tony Robbins says progress is happiness, right? So we always want everyone to be making progress, whether it's personally or professionally.
That's a great comment, and it leads really well into our next question, which is, I hear from other leaders of teams that it's a challenge to get team members engaged. What are your thoughts?
I think ownership and measuring, so to get people engaged, I think you have to let them self-manage a little bit and give them KPIs, key performance indicators, to make sure that they can self-manage their productivity. I mean, Peter Drucker, the godfather of management, says if you're not measuring it, you can't improve it, right? So we measure everything here in terms of productivity, in terms of satisfaction, in terms of the core values. Our guys are graded on the core values, and they self-grade on the core values every 6 months. I think that letting them own their own numbers, and letting them grade themselves, is a good way for them to own it and focus on their own growth.
I really like that. That's a great approach to let people, within reason, self-manage, and that's
Sure.
it's empowering to let them do that.
Yeah, let the numbers do the talking.
Yeah, exactly. Great comment. Question number 4, what other piece of advice do you have for leaders of teams?
Being in peer groups, I think, is really important. I learned so much from, being in organizations like Entrepreneurs Organization, EO, or Vistage, and learning from my peers and watching going to great seminars, reading great books. Definitely for other peers that are leading teams, there's a lot of good tricks of the trade. I think one of my favorite books ever is Leadership and Self-Deception by the Arbinger Institute. I think it's my favorite leadership book by far. Also Hiring for Culture, Firing for Culture. You can read a lot about that in books like Who, The A Method of Hiring, or Traction, which is about the entrepreneur operating system. So I think reading a lot and being with a lot of other leaders and just being obsessed with learning and growing as a leader is the right way to do it. I mean, you have to learn from others. That's one of my tricks, or whatever you want to call it. Just make sure everyone around me is smarter than me.
Right. Great comments. I like that a lot.
My pleasure.
Question number 5. What other successful leaders of teams would you like to recognize that have had a positive influence in your life?
Well, my chapter here in New York at Entrepreneurs Organization, which is an international organization of entrepreneurs that really want to grow, and people in my individual forum, help me. The leadership team there helps me. All the peers there help me. My Vistage coaches help me. But individuals that I try to emulate, some of them are in the business, and they own IT companies, and I'm just like, wow, you just sold your company for $30 million. Like, I want to learn from you. How did you do that, right? Or people that are speakers and motivators of different kinds of things, whether it's emotional intelligence, all the way to just coaching, coaching entrepreneurs. So there's a lot of people that that I think of, and certainly my wife. I mean, she is an amazing leader, and she leads us at home, and she's an entrepreneur in her own way. Even though she has a job and she works for a company, but she's a hustler, and I get to learn from her as well. So I think all those people are my inspiration for sure.
Great recognition of all those people, especially your wife. I always appreciate those who recognize the family members that have been close to them, whether it's parents or whether it's siblings, or in your case, a spouse. I think that's fantastic. Last question. Tell us about your first job.
My first job or my first hustle? Those are different. The first way I made money, or the first person I worked for.
Good question.
So I'll tell you the easy one is, at 13 years old, I was kicked out of my third summer camp for not being able to I guess, follow the, I've always been someone who, goes against the grain, I guess. And my dad put me in the pits of the mercantile exchange and the trading pits. So I was 13 years old, and I was a runner on the trading floor in Manhattan. So, and everyone was like, freaking out because E-Trade came out, and everyone was thinking they were going to lose their jobs. And, it's a disgusting environment. They're animals, right? Buying, selling, screaming, yelling, kicking, cursing. It really was a disgusting environment. And actually, that was the summer I learned the word Contango. It was my AOL screen name at the time. And it was my band name when I was 15. So actually, my first job, I was a runner on the commodities exchange in the gold and silver futures and options pits. And I learned about the Contango expression. It means the future's higher than the spot or the present. And I was like, I love that word. I love that idea. And then that stayed with me literally till today. So my first job actually had a very relevant impact on my life and my career, and now my company name.
Absolutely. I like that. That's a great story. That shows a lot of continuity from the first till current. So I love that.
Yeah, and I wasn't even thinking that until you said it. I was like, actually, that is my first job. My first hustle is I sold a used car, with a fake ID that I bought at an auction, under basically a fake name. So that was when I was like, I don't know, it was my first entrepreneurial adventure when I was, I think, 15 or 16 years old. So that's just, in college, I started a trash pickup company and a promotion agency. So just always had that entrepreneurial spirit. So, I worked for people and also was able to, hustle a little bit and make my own way.
You bet. I love it. I love it. Danny, thank you so much for being on the podcast. How can people find you?
Certainly, on LinkedIn, Danny Mizrahi, Contango IT, Contango IT. And that's an easy way to get to me. Our website, www.contangoit.com, Contangoit.com. Happy to help out on anything technology related, even if it's second opinion, advice. Between our 75 people and 4 areas of expertise, I'm sure we can help out, even if it's brainstorming. So love to help.
That sounds great. Thank you for that generous offer.
My pleasure.
This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can go to teamengagementpodcast.com and download our Engagement Booster tip sheet. Again, that's teamengagementpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day.